Hi, everybody. I am super excited today. I'm AJ Park, but I have the really fun opportunity to talk to Rianne Williams, another author. Now, you're across the pond, right? So it
Yes,
might be the middle of the day here, but it's late at night for you.
it is. Yes.
But we're
So
we're
it
making it
is,
work.
you know, I've done lots of things with people in different countries before. That sounded weird. It wasn't. Um, just like podcasts with other people.
Right, right. We knew what you meant. We knew exactly what you meant. Okay.
So yeah, I've spoken to people in Australia before, so I've gotten up at like 3 in the morning.
Wow, that would definitely make it a challenge to schedule an interview for
It
sure.
would, yes.
For sure. So tell us a little bit more. Tell us about what you write. Tell us about your books and
Yeah,
dive
so
in.
I'm Rianne. I write fantasy books under the pen name R.S. Williams.
Mhm.
I currently have two series at the moment. One of them is kind of like time travel, save the world, secret organizational type stories. They were really fun
Sounds
to
like
write. They were
fun.
my first books. And originally I was going to make it a 5 book series, but then I was like, actually, I just can't get this other series out of my head, so I will pause after three. So I'm currently in the middle of a typical YA epic fantasy trilogy.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, I'm in the middle of editing book three, so that should be out hopefully by the end of the year. I'm doing really well. It's just gone off to my second critique partner, and then once I get it back from there, I'll be sending it off to the editor. So that's really exciting. Um, and then yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I love fantasy. It's all I
Oh, me
read and
too.
write. Although I do break up my fantasy with a very cheeky contemporary romance because who doesn't need love in their life?
Right. I think we might not all confess, but we probably all read a little romance on the side, right?
Yeah.
Maybe just a little, right? So you can circle back and do your other two books for that series later when you're ready.
Yes,
The
exactly.
others,
Yeah.
I know how it is. So you just get a project that's calling to you that you're like, this is in my
Mm-hmm.
head. I need to get it out.
Yes.
That
Yeah,
is awesome.
I think I was on holiday um with my then boyfriend, now husband,
Okay.
and I was sat by the pool and all of a sudden like the entire series just came to me and I was like scribbling notes in my notebook while I'm, shading myself from the midday sun because I'm Casper the ghost and basically I go a lobster and then I come back to Casper. So that's fun.
There's only two colors available. You only get the
Yeah.
red and the white.
Yes, those are the
Right.
only two colors I go. So yeah, that's it came to me then and I haven't been able to put it down since. So that's been very full on and very exciting. And then I also have ideas for two novellas. One of them is already out, which if you sign up to my newsletter, you get it for free, or
Oh,
you can purchase it
nice.
on Amazon, depending on which route you want to go.
We'll put the link
Um,
with this interview so everybody can find it. That would be great.
Perfect. And then the second one is I'm not sure when I want to set it yet. I know what characters are going to be in it, but I'm not sure when in the timeline of the rest of the universe I'm going to set it. So that still
Okay.
needs to be plotted out a bit.
So have you got some compelling characters that you're super excited about?
Yeah, so one of the characters that my beta readers and critique partners really loved was actually a side character. So it's Elijah's uncle Merrick.
Mhm.
And everyone seems to love him. I don't know how I wrote him so well. Um,
He just
but
popped out that way.
yeah, he just popped out that way. So I'm thinking I might do another story with him. I just don't know whether I'm going to do it as him in the past or him after the trilogy. So I'll figure that out once I've published book three.
You've got time travel. You could do both, right?
True. I could do both.
Well, that sounds great. That sounds great. So we were talking earlier about you kind of switching audiences a little bit or switching gears.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes. So I I say recently, it's probably been about 3, 4 years now, got back into video games.
Uh-huh.
And I've really been loving The Witcher and the Dragon Age saga. Um,
Okay.
and then obviously they brought it out on Netflix and they aged it up a bit. And it just kind of like sparked off this idea, um, which I intended to be like a 5-book series. I was like, I'm gonna write a 5-book epic series. It's gonna be incredible. You know, as you do when you start off things, you're like, this is gonna be the best thing
Exactly.
ever.
If we didn't think that, we shouldn't be writing it, right? It's got to
Yeah,
be. This
yeah.
is like the thing that we think is going to be the coolest.
And then when I plotted it, it turned out to only be 4 books. And then when I
Okay.
started writing it, I was like, this doesn't feel right. It's not the beginning. So I ended up with 5 origin stories for different characters. So I've got like 5
Oh,
short novellas and
I
then
love
4
that.
main books. Yeah, it was
Okay,
really
that's
fun.
fun.
So I went from going, I'm gonna write a 5 series epic book series to I now have 9 stories and I don't even know how that happened.
Well, I love it. I love the flexibility that we have. I think in the past they are so determined to
Mm,
put fantasy into trilogies, and it must be a
yes.
trilogy. You must not have a standalone. You must not have more than 3. And I love the flexibility that we're gaining now, that we can just say, hey, I've got some side stories, I've got some novellas, and you can use those to find new readers or whatever you want. And
Yeah.
I love the flexibility. So that sounds really
Yeah,
fun.
it's definitely one of the benefits that I love of being an independent author. Um,
I agree.
and this series is a step away from like the young adult, so all my characters are either 18 or above.
Okay.
Um, they deal with some adult content. There's I don't know how far the romance is going to go on page yet, because in the beginning of the first main book, my main character has completely lost all of her memories. So the person that she was in love with, she doesn't remember.
Ah, that sounds like fun.
Yes. It was very fun to write the scene where he sees her for the first time in 7 years and he's like, "Holy crap, you're alive." And she's like,
Who are
"Get away
you?
from me. Who are you?"
I love it. That's
Yeah,
always
that was a
fun
lot of
because,
fun.
of course, that involves really deep feelings, at least on his part. And then, lots of lovely conflict. And we love that.
Yes, it's even more fun when other people from her past try to take advantage of it.
Ah, that sounds
Mm,
fun. Okay, we'll have to learn more about this.
yeah.
So, okay, so what are you said you're working on a couple of things right now. What's next for you?
Oh God, I'm a multiple project worker, so I can't
Okay.
work on one thing at the moment. So at the moment, I'm drafting 2 stories.
Okay.
One of them is the second book in that adult epic fantasy that I mentioned. The other one is going to be a fantasy romance standalone, which is a bit more steamy.
Okay.
Um, it's something I've never written before. It's completely out of my comfort zone. Um, but I was just really excited, and Tessa, my main character, um, I started off as a pantser and then I went into like plotting territory. And I was like, oh, I'm just gonna plot out the story. And my main character Tessa, she was like, no, just write me now. I was like, okay.
So
So
your plotting and pantsing debate is a little more involved because your characters are
yes,
arguing back and forth about which way you should go.
unfortunately, yes, yes.
That makes sense. I don't know.
90% of the time they are good and they let me plot out their story before we start writing. Um, they do venture off on their own little paths, but at least then I can reel them back in. Yeah, whereas Tessa was like, no, we're just gonna go with the flow. We're just gonna write and see what happens. I was like, okay.
It's true. I definitely I had they were like a couple of side characters in a project I'm working on now, and they were just meant to be minor characters. And he's not the good guy.
Hmm.
He was deliberately trying to use her to get information, for his project, his evil plot that he was working on. And but then the more I wrote him, I'm like, oh no, I think they actually like each other. And I'm like, darn it, I didn't mean to do that. But anyway, it was just one of those things because I started out for sure as a pantser. And if anyone watching doesn't know what that means, it means you write by the seat of your pants and you just pick up your pen and write whatever you want.
Hmm.
Well, some people just plot out every detail, or to some extent. And I'm having to mend my ways, because if I just write whatever, I tend to get the pace of the story elements wrong. And
Mm.
so like the action doesn't flow to the end correctly or something. And so I am a recovering pantser. I'm striving to be a plotter because I have to like work out the details of the way that everything connects. Otherwise it just doesn't work out right. And then you have to spend years of editing trying to make the story you wrote have the right momentum. So I don't know. I hope
Yes.
that's my problem. That's probably, you probably do it totally differently, but
I mean, in my, what are we, 10 years of writing, I think, I've learned that every single book is different. Every single book is different. You can think that you're going to do something one way and it turns out the other way. You can plot to your
right.
heart's content and then your characters will be like, actually, I'm gonna go over here instead of
I've
over there.
decided that
And
I'm not listening to you anymore, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love that.
Elijah and his, you know, cast of characters did that to me a lot. And I was like, please stop riding off on a dragon and come back and finish what you were supposed to do.
Well, who doesn't want to ride off on a dragon? Hello.
Well, the dragon Elijah accidentally bonded with because he was not happy about it.
All right. Well, we'll have to read the whole story and figure out what happens next.
Yes.
So we will include some links for everyone. We'll let them know how they can find your books. And what else? Is there anything else we need to tell everybody?
If you want to come and hang out with me, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at author Rianne Williams.
Obviously, who would not want to come and hang out with you? This has been so fun. All right. Well, thank you very much for listening. We will we'll include all the links with the interview, and thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you for having me. It's been a blast.
Awesome. Have a wonderful day.
And you. Bye.